Hello! Welcome back to another video. Today, as you can tell from the title and the thumbnail, we are going to be chatting about my top 10 priority adult fantasy reads for the year. I'm saying for the year. Whether I actually get to them all this year is another matter, but I have got my top 10 priority high fantasy, adult, I think they're all high fantasy, adult reads. There's a stack here. It's a lot of pages. There's a lot that I would like to get to this year. One of my goals for the year was to read a lot of the chunkier fantasies on my TBR. So I've got a priority list of my top 10 that I'm going to take you through, and then we'll see this time next year whether I read them all. Who knows? It would be nice, but I'm not going to hold myself too accountable for that because it is a lot, and you know, TBR pursuit kind of dictates what I read a lot of the time, so I might not get to them all. But before we get into that, I would like to thank today's sponsor, which is Skillshare. So thank you very much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Now, you are probably familiar with Skillshare. It is an online learning platform where people can gather to take classes in all sorts. There's all sorts of creative topics on there that you can take classes in, such as creative writing, photography, filming, video editing, animation, which is something I'm taking advantage of at the minute. There are all sorts. There is something there if you are looking for a new topic to learn a little bit about and dip your toes into. There's going to be something there if you think you're an expert in a topic, but there's always something more you can learn. You're never at your learning capacity. There's something for everyone on Skillshare, and currently I am taking advantage of my Skillshare membership to learn a little bit more about animation in After Effects. I have been using After Effects for work quite a lot lately. It's something new that I've kind of been thrown into at work, and I'm really enjoying it, so I would like to learn a little bit more about that myself. And in order to do that, I am currently taking a class called Animating with Ease in After Effects by Jake Bartlett. And it's proving to be very useful. He's teaching us how to animate a house, building up the illustration and the artwork of the house and having it animate all in using the speed graphs so that there's fluidity and movement to it. It's really fascinating stuff and I'm enjoying it a lot, and I think it's going to be useful for me in my day job because, as I say, I'm starting to use After Effects a lot more there. So the more familiar I am with it, its tools and the skills that you can utilise there, the better. So yeah, I'm enjoying that class currently. But as I say, there are thousands of classes on there, classes for all sorts of topics, all sorts of people, something for everyone. Skillshare is curated specifically for learning, so when you have a membership with them, there are no ads and no limits. You can learn to your heart's content, and with an annual membership it is as little as $10 per month, which is a little price for a lot of learning. However, if a subscription is something that you're not quite ready to make a commitment to yet, I am happy to let you know that there is a link in my description, and the first 1,000 people to click through on that link will get a free trial of a Skillshare Premium membership. Once again, thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Now, into my top 10 priority high fantasies. I'm being ambitious. So, let's kick it off. Most of these are not in any particular order, however, this one is my top priority. I need to get to this one ASAP. And that is The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson, book 3 in the Mistborn trilogy. I recently, in fact only last week, read The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson, which is book 2, and the way that ended was unacceptable. I need to continue. I am so desperate to dive into this. I'm gutted that I couldn't just dive straight in, but unfortunately I do have other things that I need to read. I'm very sad about that, but I am so looking forward to diving into this one. Obviously I won't tell you what book 2 and book 3 are about because spoilers, but the first book, The Final Empire, follows a crew of allomancers, and in this world, allomancers are people who can ingest metals to give themselves certain powers. and an Allomancer can either just ingest one to get one sort of power, or there are the Mistborn who can ingest many and have many abilities. We follow a world in which the Dark Lord won, so there is a Dark Lord as a ruler, but Hope survives and leads a rebellion, and there is a girl from the streets who finds out that she may have these Mistborn abilities and gets herself involved in this revolution. There's so much more to it than that, but that's the base of it, and I have thoroughly enjoyed what I've read of this series so far and cannot wait to read Hero of Ages, and this just inspires me so much more to read everything else by Brandon Sanderson because I have been loving this series. So yeah, desperate to get to Mistborn Book 3, The Hero of Ages. Hopefully I can get to it very, very soon. Next up, similarly, is another Brandon Sanderson book, but that is Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. This is one that people may argue you should read first because it's the first one he wrote, but I started with The Final Empire, so I want to finish the first Mistborn trilogy and then go into this one. But I believe this one is a standalone, like it's just Elantris. And this one follows a place where there was like so much magic that the people that lived there were practically gods, but then the magic failed. And this book follows a princess who goes to the new capital city to find that the person she was supposed to marry for a political allegiance is dead, and there are secrets and clashes and magic still lives. The dead and the ruined may yet have a role to play in this new world because magic still lives. I really don't know too much about this, but dead magic not being dead and a princess whose husband-to-be is dead sounds fascinating to me. I've heard fantastic things about Elantris and how much I've been loving other Brandon Sanderson at the minute. I really want to get to this one too, so that's the plan. Next up, I know a few people will be happy to see this make an appearance, is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. This one has been on my shelf for such a long time, but in recent months, the hype for— I say recent months, it's probably been like the last year, the hype for this has just been insane. I've seen so many people reading and loving it, and it's pushed itself higher on my priority list. I need to read it. As far as I know, this one follows a young woman called Paige who is a clairvoyant in a world where being clairvoyant is illegal, and she does something in order to get captured for using clairvoyancy, and she's taken away, but she's not taken to the place she expected to be taken, which uncovers a whole new world. I don't know. But everyone loves it. I've heard that it's one that's very difficult to categorise genre-wise because it has a little bit of everything. Everyone seems to love it, and I want to as well. So I'm looking forward to diving into the Bone Season series. Everyone seems to love it, and I hope I will too. Next up on this list is one I'm very excited about, which is The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. This, I believe, is a military-ish revenge story with dragons. And I think our main character is, like, desperately on the search for revenge. And in this world, is it every 1,000 or every 10,000 or something? Every 100? I can't remember the numbers, but something like every 1,000, every 1 in 1,000 men is ridiculously strong, and every 1 in 10,000 women has the ability to call down dragons. 1 in every 2,000 women has the ability to call down dragons, and 1 in every 100 men is able to magically transform himself into a bigger, stronger, faster killing machine. So there are dragons, there are ridiculously strong men, and our main character is after revenge. A world caught in an eternal war, one young man will become his people's only hope for survival. Sounds brutal. I think I'm gonna really like this, despite not knowing too much about it, but I'm excited. I've heard fantastic things about it, so I'm looking forward to getting to this one, hopefully this year. it's a high priority for me. Next up, we have The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This one has been getting so much hype lately. I mean, it's been getting hype pretty much constantly, but lately a lot of people close to me have been reading this and raving about this, and it's just given me a serious FOMO feels. Like I am missing something special with this, clearly, with how deeply my friends have fallen in love with it. So I need to get to this soon. From what I know about this, this follows a young woman called Rin who works really hard to get into the most elite military school there is, and it's not a simple or easy task. She has to work ridiculously hard for that. And I think there's some sort of like god-like magic in this, I've heard, but I don't know too much about that. And I know that it is inspired by real events, and I know that it is gruesome and vivid and vile in places, and without sounding really sick and twisted, I can't wait to read that. It fascinates me. I want to know how I will react to the certain scenes that other people have read. It really piques my curiosity. But yeah, there is obviously then war, and I think it discusses the differences between like training for war and actually going to war, and how it's not what our characters would have expected. But I'm very, very excited about this one. Everyone seems to love it, and I really hope that I will too. Next up, we have The Fools Errand by Robin Hobb. This is book one of the Tawny Man trilogy, which is the next trilogy in the Realm of the Elderling series by Robin Hobb. So we've read the Farseer trilogy, the Live Ship Traders trilogy, and we'll be moving on to the Tawny Man trilogy for Elderling Along, which I am a part of. I'm not sure when exactly we will be starting this, but I will be reading this trilogy this year for that, so it's definitely a priority for the year. I will be getting to these ones. But I don't know too much about what this series covers, but I know we go back to following Fitz and the Fool, which is very interesting. I quite liked them characters in the Farseer trilogy. I think I might have liked Live Ship a little bit more, but I'm still very eager to get back to see those characters and see what happens next, because I really don't know much about this trilogy at all, nor do I particularly want to. But Realm of the Elderling is incredible so far. I'm really enjoying it, so I'm looking forward to diving further into that. But I really can't tell you what this series is about because I don't know, and the blurbs of these editions tend to be pretty spoilery, so I don't even want to read it. Next up on this list is a beast of a book, which is The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. This is one that I haven't heard masses about, but what I have heard about it has been really good, and I mean it's a chunker. I am looking forward to this. This follows a young boy called Kieran, yeah, who is a bard's apprentice and grows up on heroic tales. However, he also is a little thief. However, one day he thieves from the wrong household and is cursed by a demon, I think. Somehow this curse attracts the royalty and he's kind of claimed as a member of them. I don't know if he actually is, but he's claimed as a member of them and ends up involved in the plotting and schemes of the royal family. I can't quite wrap my head around everything that this book is about, because he's then part of a prophecy, cursed by a demon, claimed by royalty, destined to be a hero, destined to be a villain. Like, this kid's life seems crazy, and I'm very excited to dive into that wildness. This sounds like it's going to be a wild ride, and I'm excited to dive in. I'm really looking forward to this one. Next up is Jade City by Fonda Lee. This is another one that has had a lot of hype around it. Lots of people have been reading and loving this one, and it's one that's got my interest, not only because it has my name in the title, but it helps. This one is likened to Hong Kong gangster films, which I can't say I've watched any of. But it seems to be a bit of a gangster story with these clans at each other's throats because of a new drug that's emerged. So in this world, Jade, like the stone Jade, It gives people incredible powers, but only certain people. Enhances warriors' strength and speed. It's mined, traded, stolen, and killed for, and controlled by two families equal in their power and ruthlessness. When a modern drug emerges that allows anyone, even foreigners, to wield Jade, simmering tension between the two clans erupts into open war. That's as much as I know about it, but I know lots of people have read, loved, adored, raved about it, and again, FOMO, I want to read it and know what it's all about because everyone seems to love it. So here we are. We will try. Next up, we have the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. I have read The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin and really liked that, and therefore would love to read more of her stuff. And this is possibly her most popular. Like, everyone seems to have read the 5th season or want to read the 5th season. It's incredibly popular. But honestly, it's another one that I don't know too much about. It's just massive FOMO and the fact that I've enjoyed another book from N.K. Jemisin. But I think it's called the Broken Earth trilogy, but I think it's a world where like natural disasters start destroying it. Like, I think it's either like an earthquake or a volcano or something. It starts with the Great Red Rift across the heart of the world's sole continent, spewing ash that blots out the sun. It starts with death, with a murdered son and a missing daughter. It starts with betrayal and long dormant wounds rising up to fester. This is the stillness, a land long familiar with catastrophe, where the power of the earth is wielded as a weapon, where there is no mercy. So maybe it's not natural disasters, but the earth is the weapon. It sounds really fascinating. Lots of people seem to really like this, and I don't want to miss out on that. So I hope I really like it too. And finally, number 10 on this list is a book that I should have got to a long time ago, and that is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. This has been on anticipated reads lists, this has been on intimidating reads lists, this has been on a TBR at some point. I started the audiobook for this, I stopped, I started reading it, I stopped. I've been on a journey with this book and never actually read it, so maybe I will do that. But The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss is massively popular. Everyone seems to have read and loved it, and I have not read it. My copy looks red and battered because my mum has read it. But this one follows the story of Kvothe, who is telling his life story. It's 3 books, but the 3rd book isn't out. No one knows about that still. I think it takes him 3 days to tell his life story, and book 1 is the first day of him telling his life story. But he's a bit of an unreliable narrator because Kvothe can do anything, he is the best. And he goes to a magical university of sorts. He is a legend, and people have been after his story for so long, and he finally agrees to tell it, and this is it. And I need to read it, so hopefully this year will be the year I get to it. But as I say, it's been on and off and on and off for such a long time. We'll see what happens, but I anticipate when I read this I will love it, so fingers crossed. And there we have it. That is my top 10 list of my high priority, high adult fantasy reads. Fingers crossed I can get to them in 2021, but not going to hold myself too accountable for that, just in case, because who really knows what's gonna happen. If you have read any of these books, let me know down below which one you think I will enjoy the most, which ones I should prioritise most. Although I do want to get to all of them, I would love to know your input on which ones I should get to first. Please don't spoil any of them for me though, because I'm very much anticipating all of them. But once again, thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and yeah, I hope you have enjoyed. If you have, give us a thumbs up. Chat to me down below. Emoji of the video, a weapon of some sort seems appropriate. I'm sure there's like swords and guns and stuff. Weapons of some sort as the emoji of the video. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!